Welcome to week 8 of the Bill Nieces Coaches Show, brought to you by Edison State Community College and Employ Bridge. And Coach, Indians big win again at rival Greenville, 49-0 in a shutout. Coach really things were taken care of in the first half. Greenville did come out in the first series and got a couple first downs and kind of moved the ball, but that was about it for them. And trying to be humble on this, our defense really was solid and really made adjustments all night long.
I think we made some decent adjustments just during the course of that first drive to be able to do a couple things with it. And really it was more of a mistake, and the kid looked over and goes, "Yeah, I know," and then they got it right, and each one of the sides had a little bit of a mistake, and then once they got it, I think that they played pretty well. Our tackling was good. I think we came out and we hit in the line of scrimmage, on both sides of the ball. I thought that was important, and I was impressed with our three big tackles in the middle. I think Lyons. I told Lyons in Anson today, I said, you guys only combined for 2 tackles the whole game, but you guys disrupted virtually everything. At one point, Lyons had 3 guys blocking him. He was triple teamed. And, the linebackers, of course, behind them ended up with 17 tackles between those 2 guys. And they just really were disruptive. They came off the ball very well when we were freezing the film, on Saturday morning, where you could see those 2 guys were the first 2 off the ball. And I know they're the closest to the ball, but, man, they were just getting off and they were getting low. They're both 6'3", 6'4", and they were coming off with some flat backs.
Well, you had mentioned this a few weeks ago, that's the one thing about our line. They disrupt enough that our linebackers, that second tier line in the defense, really is the one that gets to feed on those statistics.
Yeah, they do, and especially the defense we play, those 2 inside tackles are the ones. Everybody else kind of on the perimeter, the back end and the outside. Those guys are on their own, and they can, they're usually one-on-one and can make some plays. Those interior guys, they're drawing the doubles. They're getting blocked down, they're getting blocked back, and different things along those lines. So they really have to hold their own in there, and they did a great job. And then Wyatt Dobbins is our third guy coming in, and he's the smaller of the 3 guys, but he comes off like a bullet, and he can get in there and he's like a closer in baseball. He comes in here and just throws some fastballs, and we get him in, get him out, rest him up for offense, and then get him again.
Indians defensively, as we talked about, really did dominate. Offensively, though, again, I looked at the statistics, and we have talked all year about our run game and how well Josiah has been, and Tanner, and certainly Bryson. But the one person we really haven't talked a lot about, and not because it certainly doesn't deserve it, just all the other things that we've talked about, is Brady Ula. He goes 11 for 13, and he throws over 200 yards, and he scores 2 on his own on his feet.
Yeah.
Just another example of a player who's making a great impact and certainly make a big key to our play. And quarterback's obvious. Yeah,
and this offense is perfect offense for him because the better we are, we've always been able to do pretty well running the football. We got a big line, and we've got some excellent receivers, and for a guy to come out there and be able to keep the ball on some zone reads and on some other, read type boot plays, maybe 5 or 6 times a game, but in the meantime, throw the ball 14 to 17 to 20 times a game. And, the kid's throwing it almost 60% accuracy. He can throw a long ball, he can throw a short ball. He runs our boots extremely well, and it's just he's a great fit for our offense. And it's kind of almost to the point where we kind of want to fit our offense to him and fit him to our offense. It's kind of a great marriage of the two that he's been able to do those things and do a lot of things very well during the course of the year.
Certainly been a dual threat for us, and has been really helpful as a lot of people are looking at it's defense as a pick and choose or poison. Your receivers, your backs, and certainly the quarterback is one of those threats. So.
And he's also rolling that. Remember our 2 big statistics that we use are, our turnovers and big plays. That's it. One of the things like third down conversions, those are nice. Time of possession, but for example, time of possession in the last 2 weeks, we have almost had the other team double time of possession because they're coming out, they're snapping the ball with 1 second left on the clock. And that first drive of Greenville, they got finished and they. It was almost they'd taken up almost 7 minutes of the first quarter, and they'd only run maybe 10, maybe I think 8 plays. But I think those are the kind of things that, and Brady gives us, number one, that, those big play capabilities, a lot of them come out of his hands, and most importantly, that 0 turnover, and that's 2 weeks in a row now that we haven't turned the ball over.
Coach, you talk about these games, and the last couple of weeks, obviously, we have won by large margins. As a coach, you're always coaching your team, regardless. You're not just coaching to win that game. You're coaching for the next week and the following week. What are some things that you're taking away from the last couple of weeks that we have got to continue to improve on and work on as we work through week to week?
I think the number one thing we need to do is make sure that we're staying focused. And these guys do a great job of just remaining focused. And I guess again, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Are they doing a great job of staying focused because we're winning, or are we winning because they're doing a great job staying focused? I think both answers the same question. And we continue to want to do that. We continue to keep our weight room as a priority, total priority for us. We went through 5-3-1 rep scheme today, and guys are maintaining their strength level. Younger guys are getting stronger, as we go through. We did our speed improvement program today, and so those are the intangibles: keeping track of your body, eating right, making sure you're getting enough rest, and those are the things. I think everything else, every coach always wants to get better in terms of, hey, we want less penalties, we want less missed tackles. We want less this. We want more of this, more of this, more of this. That's the same old cliches everybody has.
As week 7, as we turn the page, as we talk about just going week to week, the next one for week 8 is the Tippecanoe Red Devils. Certainly a game that will be of interest to many. Both teams coming in the league undefeated. They've certainly been playing well. They defeated Troy on Friday night. Coach, it's a big game for a lot of reasons. Let's go to the mantra again, 1 week at a time. And this game, again, is the way you have built this, that we've talked on the show, and the way you're talking in the locker room, is this game is no more or less important than the Greenville game was, the Fairborn game was, the Sydney game, and so on and so forth. It's a big game, no doubt, but it's certainly the one that we're focusing on this week.
Yeah, but and as we say that, make no mistake that as we come into the week and we say this game is no more important than this or this or this, as we come in that week, this game is the most important thing that we know this week. Okay, and it's on our minds this week. And so we want to make sure that there's no stone unturned, that we've got all of our preparation down and we're ready to roll. And we've got a 24-hour policy. You get in there and after Greenville, we said, okay, yeah, good game. Boom, 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 move on. Let's get to the next person. You just got to operate in those chunks. But how you operate within that chunk is the biggest thing. What are you going to do in those 7 days? You can't have bad practice. You can't have a bad film session. Our coaches were in here, and have been in here, getting game preparations and doing all the things that we need to do. Because we can sit back and say, hey, they're going to do this, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. It's not what we know. It's what our players know. So you got to say, okay, you guys got to be able to figure out if they're here, then this is what we've got to do, and we've got to rep that stuff over again, so those guys can just play fast. That's what they need to do, is just get off, play fast, make decisions quickly, and move on from there.
The execution of it by the players is certainly a big part of it, and the Indians will come in 7-0. Certainly, Tip comes in 6-1, both undefeated in the league. Both have been having great success in games similar to the way they've been playing. What can Piqua expect from Tippecanoe on both sides of the ball, defensively and then offensively?
Defensively, they run a base out of a 50 defense, and there's been some times where they will get into a five-man front, 2 linebackers, and put 7 in the box and see if you can throw the football. And then they also have the ability, though, to go out and cover it if you can. They'll drop somebody out of there and go cover. So defensively, I see them as a very versatile defense, that they can do both. You can't sit there on paper and say, okay, well, all you have to do is this, and you got them. They know, just like I think with our defense, we know our strengths and weaknesses, and we know where people attack, where they possibly will attack, where they have attacked, and we know our adjustments and the things that we need to do. Their offense is a power type offense. They run a lot of off tackle, down kick scheme. They run a lot of down pull two counter type schemes, and those are their two solid blocking schemes. They run the zone scheme, and they don't have many blocking schemes, but they window dress it up quite a bit. They've got some motion. They've got some guys that will line up here and they come back into the box. They got some guys that go from one side of the box to the other side of the box, and they have the ability to do that. And in the meantime, their quarterback has really developed into a big threat. Their quarterback has gone a couple of games, 2-3 touchdowns, and can also throw the ball very well. He's right at about 55% passing. His touchdown interception ratio is unbelievable. It's 11-3, 11-4. So he's not giving up the football either. And they do a good job of not turning the football over too. They don't get bored gaining 4 and 5 yards a shot, until they can make a big play. And so I think that's what we can expect out of both their defense and their offense.
Well, the other part that I know about Tip is tempo too. They'll like to play with the tempo a little bit, like to try to speed it up and then slow it down at their leisure. They're a good football team, and that's a lot of people looking forward to two good football teams going at it here at Alexander Stadium on Friday night, and it won't be less than that. But Coach, from your standpoint, looking at their lines and our line, those are conversations that a lot of people out there are saying, hey, they've got a good line, we've got a good line, should be one in the trenches.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I think they also have a great perimeter. I think we have a great perimeter, and sometimes this thing can get into a 7-on-7 game. Sometimes it can get into a trench game, and it depends on what the flavor is going to be when you get in there. I think everybody has a certain, we're going to come in with a certain philosophy of how we want to dictate how it's going to happen. They're going to come in with a certain philosophy how they want to dictate it's going to happen, and then we'll see. We'll see. Who's got the ability to take what they wanted to do, and execute that thing, and put the other guy in as many bad situations as you possibly can.
Well, Coach, we know, as always, that the Pickwick Tip will be a good game, and will be homecoming here at Alexander Stadium. And speaking of execution, we have to talk about our two senior features today. Aidan, Meyer, and Braiden Strayer, both those guys, 3-year starters for us in the back, have seen a lot of challenges, but also successes in the last few years, and a big part of our success defensively.
I think so, and man, we go clear back until those two guys were sophomore corners, and we survived a couple games when they were sophomores that people were throwing the ball. There's some good quarterbacks in the league when unfortunately when they were sophomores when they came in, and those kids survived those two things, got better as juniors, got better in the weight room, and you're looking at now both of them are all league players coming back. Meyer is just a total savage into the boundary. I mean, when they a couple times Greenville rolled over to that side, he had a tackle for a loss and he had another tackle, and you just don't get behind him. He plays everything as smartly as you can. He also excels on our special teams. He's a cover guy on our special teams. And then you go over on the other side, Stray, and Stray he's the same thing as Meyer, only Stray will take just a couple more chances than Aidan will. And Stray will probably make an interception or something like that and do something a little different, just because of the fact that he's usually to the wide side of the field a lot, because he's on that side of the quarterback's arm. He's on the right side of the quarterback, and usually there's a lot more action over on that side of the field. So he sees a lot more open field. People on the hash putting the ball out to the field. He sees that a little bit more often. He also, we were talking about in our meeting tonight that he's given us another dimension with him and Dre as our punt returners. And there's been years I know as a high school coach that I've tried to get people that would just have the ability to catch a punt, or the willingness to catch a punt. And these guys not only catch them, but they want to return them. And that's a whole different game right there that these guys give us. So I'm very blessed with having Strayer back there returning those punts.
Two very tough-minded young men.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That you won in your foxhole with you.
Yeah. Yeah. These are a lot of times people have high school corners that they want to play man coverage and they want to turn their backs and kind of stay out of the fray unless it's a pass. These guys are linebacker type guys out there. I mean, if the herd comes out in their direction one way or the other, they're not afraid to take it on, and they will take it on. Now I know they got, but excuse me, both of them have two very good outside linebackers that are partnered up with them. But man, those guys can set the edge and go, and they're both very smart at what they do defensively.
Well, you and I have talked about this through the years. You got some guys riding in on some Harleys.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be the two guys that would be on a Harley. Who, and we talk about their toughness, but they have football intellect that, as you said, are very intelligent. And having both of that is a very dangerous combination.
Yeah, and when we talk about toughness, well, sometimes people mistake what it is. Toughness is not when the play's over pushing someone from behind. Toughness is when a guard comes around a corner or a bubble screen comes at you. Toughness is where you come up and you blow the thing up. Okay, that's what toughness is, and both of those guys have that. They have the ability and the willingness to do that.
Well, we're certainly glad they're on our side on Friday night as the Indians will take on Tippecanoe in the Game 8 of the MVL homecoming game. Coach, we certainly wish you all the best and Friday night.
Thank you.
We'll be back. We will talk to Aidan and Stray Dog, and we'll hear a little bit more about what makes them go in the backfield. Welcome to Week 8 of the Bill Neeson's Coaches Show and Part 2 of this week's program, sponsored by Edison State Community College and Employ Bridge. With us now is the senior portion, and we're going to have these young men introduce them by their names and positions that they play.
I'm Aidan Meyer, and I play corner.
I'm Braiden Strayer, and I play corner.
Both of you guys are unique because you've been 3-year starters in the same spot, so you guys have really seen a lot of that action back there in the last couple of years. You guys kind of been the dynamic duo. Braiden, a little bit just about your position back there and being a 3-year starter. What's it like being a part of a program, not just this team, but a program that's seen a lot of success and that you've been in that backfield for the last 3 years?
It's been actually amazing, playing with all my friends, my family. I've played with them for years now, and always having to play corner, it's just been a really good thing, being able to play how I do, how good I am at it, and how good Aidan is at it too, and we're just rocking out our thing out there.
Aidan, you guys have been playing since youth football, since 3rd grade, and it's been not just Braiden, but a lot of guys that you've been playing with on this team for a long time. There is a chemistry, a good brotherhood, a good amongst one another, and I think that's certainly one of the key features to this team and why maybe we're having the success we are. What's your thoughts?
I completely agree. We've been together for so long, and it really helps everything too. Like on defense specifically, we got like 6-7 guys, 3-year starters. It just helps it come together so much better in every game.
Let's talk a little bit about Greenville. Coming off that, get our 7th win as we get ready for Tippecanoe. Greenville, they came out and gave us our best shot. It got a little chippy there at times. How is it as players knowing, and I see the smirks, it got a little chippy. Teams are going to bait us. I mean, they're going to throw out the fish and see if we take the bait. How is that for you to be able to control those emotions for you, Aidan?
Sometimes I just look at it like I just kind of laugh. I try to laugh it off because at that point we're up like so much and they haven't even scored a touchdown and they're still so angry. I just try to laugh it off as best I can.
Braiden, I know what I said to you coming off the field at halftime. I said, hey, keep your head, and you said, yeah, I know. And you could tell you were frustrated, but yet you understood that, hey, we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we're getting penalties or even getting ejected because the importance is not necessarily just the next game we're playing, but the games ahead of the season.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to keep my cool, but then I ended up, calming down, and then obviously we were up by a lot, and then we had a big game next week. I didn't want to get kicked out or anything, so I just kept my cool.
Coach, and we talked a little bit, you got to have a little bit of an edge, though, and I think both of you guys are probably a great example of that. We've got some linemen that are a little edgy, too, and they've got a little, Coach jokes about we ride in our Harleys a little bit, but you've got to have a little bit of that, but you got to know the balance of the two. let's talk a little bit about the upcoming game, Tippecanoe. It's obviously a big game for a lot of reasons. For you, though, Braiden, what do you see this week are going to be the keys for the Indians?
Just watching film, practicing hard, doing everything we got to do because it's going to be a big game coming up.
Yeah. Aidan, your thoughts on this week's game and where you think your position is really going to be key in as part of a Indian victory?
Yeah, so I've been hearing they got a good pass game, and we've been watching the film. They got a lot of clips and stuff, and they just have a good program this year. So hopefully it's a really good game.
Sean, let's talk a little bit about just being a part of this team a little bit. You know, we're 7-0. Things are rolling pretty well. Coach talks a lot about 1 week at a time. Is that hard for you guys, or is it really just we look 1 week and then the next one we'll take care of that one, or is it? Do you look ahead a little bit?
You know, the coaches really push that like week to week. Like they completely focus on the one team, and it's hard to think about the future. Really, I mean, not really, but we want to. But yeah, they just keep with the one team. Yeah.
Yeah. You too, Braiden, on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Team 7-0, obviously coming off a strong year last year. The expectations for this team, for you, Braiden, you have a sense of where the ball is going to go, and obviously both of you have come up with big plays this year in the backfield. Talk a little bit about being ready. You know, you're in a position where they run the ball, and you've got to be ready to react in a lot of different ways, and people forget about those. What do you think of the keys are to your position back there?
Well, I obviously have to watch my wide receiver, and then I watch the end of the line because if they step back, then it's more likely going to be a pass, or if they come forward, then it's going to be a run. So then I just have to watch out for that stuff like that, and so I can tell if it's going to be a run or a pass, and then, you know, I just watch film a lot and watch how they're doing it and where they line up at and stuff like that, so I can tell if it's going to be a run or a pass.
Aidan, I hear the words film a lot. I know you guys watch a lot of film. Does that really make a difference for you, particularly in your positions and what you're about to see this week?
Yeah, it definitely does. Like, it makes a huge difference. Like what Braiden said about where they line up. The receivers, all the high school receivers, they have a tendency where they line up, it tells you where they're going to be going.
All right. So we've had this new show called Walking with the Indians. We've kind of asked some real random questions. I'm going to ask you guys some random questions before we get into some serious stuff because this is kind of fun stuff. Okay, Mom and Dad put $100 in your wallet. Okay, you can go eat anywhere you want, any restaurant, and order anything you want. Aidan, where you go and when you order?
I think I'm going to go. I'll probably go to Morton Steakhouse and get me a big old filet.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
definitely.
Yeah.
Man, it's a hard question.
You got so many options out there.
Yeah, I know. I'll probably just go to Cane's and buy a Caniac combo. Or
Wow.
a couple of them.
Two extremes, Morton's, Cane's. How about that? Watch out, guys. They'll come in your way. Let's finish it up with the end of the year. You guys, in May, Memorial Day weekend, you're going to be graduating. What's on the docket plans for you guys, and what are you thinking about where you're going to be a year from now, potentially?
You know, I'm still looking at a lot of different schools. I want to go to college pretty much, and not too sure what I want to study, but I do want to continue my education into the next level.
So I hear you saying in an intellectual way, undecided and undecided.
Yes.
All right, very good. Braiden?
I want to go to college, but then again, I don't. I rather work and pursue my construction dream and build my own house and everything like that. But if I do get a good college to go to, then yeah, I'll want to go play.
On your shirt, Upper Valley Career Center, so it's a big part of it. You talk a little bit about, just briefly, so the nation knows what program you're in there. So you're talking about following what your skill set is.
So I do construction, obviously, and then we'll over there we'll build pole barns, cabins, stuff like that, and we'll run excavators, skid steers, and do a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's just a good way to get out and hands-on instead of sitting in a classroom all day.
Yeah,
So.
you got to gift with your hands for sure. And we actually see it on Friday night with some interceptions. Gentlemen, we wish you guys all the best Friday night and the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Just a reminder that the game will be on Indian Nation Station. Following the game, it'll be live. It will not be live streamed, but it will be streamed. We'll get that link out there on social media so you can watch it on the YouTube channel. Kickoff on Friday night. It's homecoming. Kickoff will be at 7 p.m. A lot of things going on to celebrate Alexander Stadium and, of course, homecoming. And, of course, the big game between Tippecanoe and the Piqua Indians. For Aidan and Braiden, I'm Chip. We'll see you next week on the Bill Nieces Coaches Show.